What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the State of the Empire. I am your Dallas Empire head coach, Rambo Ray, and I finally got that intro right because it's the most annoying thing when you do YouTube videos. As most of you know who've done videos before, it's hard to get intros right. But today, I'm a happy boy today. Today, it's an exciting time. Our boys won the Chicago home series. I guess you call it home series or online series, whatever you want to call it. We won it this weekend. It was great. We won all four of our matches. We only lost 3 maps in total. All the things that I've been talking about in the previous episodes have kind of come into play, and the progress that we've been making really showed this weekend. It is super exciting as a coach to see players commit to the things that we've been practicing on as a team and really kind of use the things we learn and the understandings we make and when we discuss things when we practice and really kind of showcase them in competitive play. Because it's easy to try things when you practice and really kind of talk about things and figure out if they work or not. And even when players agree on certain things in practice, they're not always kind of put into play when you play in a competitive tournament, because a lot of the things happen where you're instinctively playing. You're not really thinking that straight because of the pressure and whatnot. But our players really kind of encompassed everything we've been talking about. And it's really exciting to see how well they played this weekend and how strong their play looked. As a coach, I looked at those games and it didn't feel like we just won. It felt like it would be really difficult for us to lose games with the way we were playing, which is super exciting. But yeah, we played OGLA, Seattle in our pool. We definitely had the weaker of the two pools this weekend. Everyone sees FaZe and Huntsman being some of the stronger teams in the league. The two best teams in the league, at least until this weekend. And then, London and New York are two also great teams. London hasn't competed in a while, but they've been improving, and New York's probably one of the most improved teams with the new addition of Mac. Obviously that was the harder of the two pools, given the fact that LAG is probably one of the bottom tier teams in the league right now. They have a lot to figure out, and then OGLA's kind of been on the struggle bus for a bit. I don't think OGLA is that far from being great, but they need to kind of step it up a little bit. And Seattle's kind of a dark horse team, and they have some great players and some kind of OGs, but they just need to kind of put things together, and they almost did this weekend. They got out of the pool, obviously, so they beat out OG they beat out the Gorillas. We made it out of our pools, and then we played the Huntsmen. That was kind of a matchup we were really looking forward to. The Huntsmen have kind of been, I guess, struggling or having issues finding their identity as of late. They've been having, I guess they had a few role swaps and they swapped them back. We proved out that we've been working really hard at what we were doing, and we just really kind of mowed through them, for lack of a better word. It was some really great games on our part. We showed the strengths that we have and really kind of the fundamentals that we've been kind of pushing for the players to really work on, and everything's been working out, and it showed with that match. It was, I don't want to say it. I won't say it. Too many fans. That was great. We beat them 3-0, so that was awesome. And then we played FaZe in the finals. We knew going to FaZe that every game would be close. Even when we scrimmed them, it's pretty rare that a team kind of just lopsided or just completely destroys the other team. Every hard point kind of typically goes between 180 points to 240 for the losing team. So it's never like a blowout where you get a 100-point club. We knew there was going to be some really difficult games. Our game plan was really trying to get a lead early and just kind of play to our strengths and just rotate and play positional against them and try and outslay them, or at least keep it close. FaZe is one of the teams in the league that seems very slay reliant to win games. As you can watch all of their games, they really kind of, a lot of the times, Simp just goes crazy. Simpson and a really amazing player. But they seem to really kind of not necessarily struggle, but they seem to have a hard time kind of make their kills worthwhile. So we felt like as long as we keep the slaying even, or even if we keep it in our favor, we should be able to kind of beat them out on a consistent basis. So we kind of achieved our game plan. I think the first map we might have gotten outslayed by a few kills, but we ended up winning the game by 30. We knew it was going to be close again. We made the best of our rotations and tried to control the hills that we needed to control to get points, and we did really well on that. The search on Petra was incredibly close. FaZe is one of the better teams in patience in the league. They really kind of take their time to make a play happen. They keep you guessing as to what you want to do. So props to them on that. I heard their coach Crowder wasn't too pleased with the amount of time they were taking to plant. They lost, I think, 2 or 3 rounds on offense because the time just ran out. Our guys on our end really reacted well to that and really kind of took our time, because we saw FaZe play it a few times in the series prior. So obviously we had something to go on as far as how they wanted to play that. But they made some really incredible clutch plays down the stretch. They brought the game back from what felt like it was going to be a loss, and then they ended up turning around and winning some 2 clutch rounds. Sip had a crazy 1v2 to finish the map. So that's a map we felt we should have won, but we didn't. And those happens, like especially at a high level like that. When you have 2 great teams competing at a high level, like things like that are going to happen. You can always kind of get things to go in your way. That's just the way it goes. And yeah, the Dom was pretty close again, but we made some really kind of great I mean, actually, I wasn't that close. We had a really great first side. We had bad side on Hackney first, which is something that we've been working on, and it's really it showed how well prepared we were on our own play, and really kind of the rules and the measures we were taking to really kind of push our gameplay to the level that it needs to be able to succeed, and regardless of the situation that's in game. And the guys played that to the T, to the mark. It was actually, honestly, it's probably one of the most impressive dominations I've seen this year, just that first side alone. And then we built up such a big lead on the bad side that we just needed to kind of play safe on the good side. We won the break off, which was important, and then we kind of just edged it out. And it got to a point where, like, with 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes left, like, all we needed to hold is 1 flag, which on Hackney is pretty easy to do, because typically when people push overflow 1 flag, you spawn on the opposite side of the map. So if you have a chance of getting 3 cap, then normally you get a cap for free. So it was an incredibly difficult situation for FaZe to kind of break out of, and they weren't able to do it because, I mean, we were just playing at a high level. And then, yeah, the hard point was the Petro hard point. With the way the vetoes handled out, we decided to take Gunrunner in that situation because we won the coin toss, which is one thing people need to understand. The coin toss means a lot this year in map vetoes because there's so many, like half the maps the sides mean a lot and then some don't. So a lot of teams are kind of trying to pick, the vetoes are kind of evolving into a state where teams trying to pick the maps that'll give them the best chance to win on the bad side, and then they'll try and let maps for the other team to pick that are very kind of one side reliant, at least for the start of the game. So like Petro is super coalition based, and so on, like Cave is really allegiance based, so on and so forth. So teams are kind of trying to pick their vetoes, and that's kind of one thing that we've been working on as a team is really, and this is something I can talk about freely because really, I mean, every team should be doing that, but it's really kind of making sure that our level of play, our strengths aren't really map specific. We want to be good at every mode on every map, so should every team be. But we've been really working on really communicating and really distinguishing our mistakes on some of the maps and going over VOD and really kind of making sure that we're straight. Our strength isn't just certain game types or certain modes or certain maps. It's really making sure that we're good across the board. So no matter what happens in the vetoes, we're going to be good no matter what. And that's one thing that showed this weekend. We played a variety of maps, some maps that we weren't that comfortable on, like I say, 2 or 3 weeks before going into the last event. And we're going to be a hard team to beat when we can play at a high level on every map like that. So I'm super proud with the guys about that. And yeah, that was basically the basis of the weekend. We won the Petro, not necessarily that convincingly, but we made some really good plays to put ourselves in the right position. We made a few mistakes that map that we'll go over once we kind of, after we take a small break and really kind of hash out some of the things that we need to work on again. Because like that's one thing with this team, and that's super exciting again to me, and that should be exciting to you guys as fans, is that this team is hungry. Like there's never a point where we feel like we're good enough. We just won an event, I'd say fairly convincingly. Granted, like the FaZe game was close, but still like to a point where we felt like we played a game at a really high level where we're going to be really hard to beat, and there's still room for improvement, and we're still going to push to get that improvement and really move forward to make sure that we're going to be even better next time we come out and compete, because we have like 5 or 6 weeks off before we compete again. So it's important for us to really kind of push forward and really make sure that we're even better next time we come out. I have 2 more topics I want to talk about today. One is the progress of the young guys. As you guys saw statistically, Shotzzy and Illy had great events this weekend. Shotzzy, I think, had like led the stats in a ton of them. Illy was like top 4 in damage. Just kind of his involvement on the map has kind of grown to a point. And this is incredibly exciting for our organization and for any fan that watches our team to see those guys kind of thrive. They didn't necessarily have the best start of the year. They have a lot to learn, and they still do, and they learned a lot. They've made a ton of progress. I can't speak highly enough about those guys, and also like same thing with Kyler and Crim and Clay, like just as a team, but like specifically those 2 guys for now is what I'm going to talk about. The progress that they're making in understanding Call of Duty situations at a high level. Like Ant came from a Halo scene, Shotzzy mostly, or excuse me, Ant's Shotzzy, and then Ender is Illy. Sorry if I call them by their first names. But yeah, Illy's been kind of mostly a search player in the past, and their ability to kind of understand scenarios and respawn, which is not something that's that easy to learn, especially at the pace this game is played, is incredibly, like, it's amazing, really. I'm just trying to think, like, comparing it to my days when I played and learning new games and learning, like, Call of Duty from the first started when I started competing in it, and then just through every year a new game. Like, the pace of the game back then was so much slower that things were more digestible. Like, it wasn't, like, granted, it came easy to me, but it wasn't that hard to really kind of understand the specifics and things you needed to do to accomplish the things you want on the map as it is now. This game is incredibly fast. There's so many variables with the spawns, and these guys are, like, honestly making some crazy lengths, crazy ways. Not crazy ways. They're going to crazy lengths really to kind of figure out these things, and really, it's props to them on the time they've been putting in, and it's showing. So, Crim play again. Like, I'm like this. This is a big shout out to everyone on the team. Like, Crim played really good this weekend. Clay's been killing it. Clay made some changes on his play to really adapt to the online play and really make sure that he's as impactful as he needs to be to really play at a high level. And Kyler again has been changing. Like, he's been the player that's changed the most roles since we started this year, and he's been adapting nonstop and really kind of that player, his ability to get kills in situations that you wouldn't expect any player in the league to get kills against some of the best players in the world is absolutely amazing. So I don't have enough gas to really there's not enough gas in the tank to give to all the players the amount they deserve. It's incredible, really. I feel incredibly blessed to be around these guys and work with these guys. The last thing I want to talk today is I was tweeting about this, and this is a little controversial topic. I'm going to talk about it because I feel like people need to understand. I know there's a lot of Huntsman's fans out there, and I'm sure our fans want to understand as well. But basically, the situation this weekend, and big props again. I'll start with a shout out to the league. The server quality and stability was amazing this weekend compared to the first event we played. It's night and day. We felt like the first week we played was, barely playable. It was like laggy to a point where, like, you can think of like the worst Warzone server you got into where it's constantly skipping. And that's basically what we felt like we competed on the first weekend. So big props to them. The plays this weekend was absolutely super clean. It was like we were playing on some a player's host when we practiced. The environment we play, if anything, it was actually better sometimes. Like, some of the server quality was this weekend was amazing. So we were extremely pleased to play on kind of a fair footage on that point. There's always going to be like these slight advantages and disadvantages online because not everyone's in the same location. So, but to that point, I want to talk about the server decision for the Huntsman series. Just so everyone understands, I'm going to talk about this really. This should be factual at this point, but the league offers 3 server locations. We get to pick basically between, each team gets to veto one server. I saw this information on Twitter, so I'm going to talk about it. But basically, there's 3 servers. The league decides 3 servers for a match, and then each team gets to veto one server blind pick, which means that I don't know what server they vetoed. And then whatever server's left, or if there's 2 servers left, if each team vetoed the same server, then the league picks the server. But whatever server's left is what's played on. So there's different locations for each match. Since our match with the Huntsman was kind of the most land-based thing you can call it, because they have 4 players in the Dallas area, and we have 3 players in the Dallas area. One of our players was in Austin, and then the other was in Toronto, and then the formal with the Huntsman's in LA. So the match we had was 2 North Central servers, basically. I think Chicago. I'm assuming Chicago, and then one was South. People expected us to pick the South server. Like, it seemed like when at least the Huntsman really seemed like we were going to play on the South server. But I want everyone to understand why we decided to veto that server and why we played on the North server. So because Illy's in Toronto and Formal's in LA, the ping from a South server is actually better from LA than it is from Toronto. So that's basically the main determining factor, because all the other players are more or less kind of on even footing. We're not going to put ourselves at a disadvantage. It doesn't make much sense for us to really pick a server. I know this is controversial. I might get shit for this, but I feel like it's important for people to understand from our perspective why we made that decision. And really, it's just a point of, like, we're not good. Like, if we have a chance to play on even footing or at a slight advantage, we're going to do that. Like, it's in our right to do so. So it was either basically putting Ilya at a disadvantage and playing everyone on the same footing. But because all the players in Texas are on the same, more or less, let's say, connection, because we're all basically pinging the same, it doesn't matter where we play. We could play on a West Coast server and we'd still be even with all the Texas players, and then Formal would have a better connection, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we decided to veto the South server. We felt like that was the right thing to do, because we're not going to put ourselves at a disadvantage. If Illy's going to ping worse than Formal on the server, then we're obviously not going to do that. So I felt like that was important to kind of state. again, if you guys feel a certain way or so on and so forth, I hope you can understand why we made a decision. But yeah, that was it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll be watching, obviously, the teams compete for the next couple of events, but we won't be competing for a few, for like 6 weeks, I think, 5 weeks. So we'll be working on our gameplay and really make sure that we're as good or even better next time we come out and compete. I hope you guys enjoyed this and have a good one. Peace.